Some moments change everything, quietly without warning. A single decision, a single choice, can unravel a life you thought was unshakable. This is the story of love, betrayal, and the silent freedom that comes when someone finally chooses themselves. Welcome to Breakup Cheater, where stories of love, loss, betrayal, and the human experience come alive. Here we dive deep into the moments that haunt us, the choices that define us, and the truths we often try to hide. Subscribe and join us, if you dare, to uncover tales that linger long after the story ends. Some moments carve themselves into your soul, reshaping the very foundation of your world. For me, it happened on a quiet Thursday evening. The kitchen still smelled faintly of roasted garlic and herbs from dinner. Emma stood at the sink, scrubbing dishes with effortless motion, her hands moving with a calm precision that contrasted sharply with her words. "I'm thinking about taking a solo trip," she said almost casually, as though mentioning we needed more milk. I froze mid-sip, glass hovering halfway to the table. "Alone?" I asked, trying to mask the surprise in my voice. "Not exactly," she replied, her gaze fixed on the soapy water. "Clara and Lila are coming, but this is for me. Something I need." Her hands glided over a frying pan, deliberately avoiding my eyes. Both Clara and I were navigating our own recent heartbreaks, caught in that restless haze of late-night self-help podcasts and wine. I could feel the shape of this trip forming in my mind. Something inevitable, something that would change everything. "What's out there you can't find here?" I asked carefully. Emma paused, drying her hands before turning toward me. "I've never really been on my own," she admitted softly. "I went straight from my parents' house into our life together. I need space to figure out who I am." We'd been married 4 years, living in a house we'd bought last year. I thought we were secure, dependable, steady, maybe not thrilling but solid. "It's not about chasing wild nights," she added, reading the question in my expression. "This isn't that kind of adventure. I just need clarity." I nodded slowly. "So, distance before what? Before starting a family? Before getting too attached to a life in Europe with Clara and her mentor?" "That's unfair," she snapped, frustration cracking her voice. "Which part? The trip or planning it without you?" She exhaled sharply. "I knew you'd react this way. That's why I almost booked the tickets before telling you." Hit me then. This wasn't a conversation. It was a formality, a courtesy before she moved forward with her plan. The following weekend she left. I didn't stop her. But that night, I made a silent vow she couldn't anticipate. I drove her to the airport the next morning, not out of excitement, but because I refused to let her see me as bitter. She looked more like she was headed to a stylish cafe than a European journey. A linen blazer, oversized sunglasses, a polished suitcase. "You okay?" she asked as we pulled into the drop-off zone. "I'm fine," I said, shutting off the engine. "Got your passport?" She nodded but hesitated. "You're awfully quiet," she observed. I met her gaze. "You're off with 2 women who treat relationships like temporary rentals. And you're surprised I'm not talkative." Her brow furrowed. "This is exactly why I need this," she said. "You turn everything into something it's not. It's not about cheating." "Maybe not," I countered. "But trips like this, they open doors better left closed." She rolled her eyes, stepped out, and I followed to grab her bag. Her kiss brushed my cheek. Not the intimacy of a wife, but the detachment of a colleague. "I'll text when I land," she said. "No need," I replied. Her smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means go do what you've already decided. Just don't pretend it's for us." She didn't answer, disappearing through the airport's glass doors. I drove off without looking back. That afternoon, I began untangling our shared finances. I didn't touch her money, not that kind of man, but I rerouted my earnings to a new account, canceled our fall vacation, and had the refund issued to me. I updated every joint account, every utility, every subscription. Small shifts, but they held weight. We weren't divorced yet, But I was done acting like a husband whose wife still cared for him. By the fourth day, Emma posted her first photo online. A wine glass on a cafe table captioned, "Finding peace in Lisbon." Lisbon wasn't even on the original plan. Soon, photos from Seville, Milan, Nice. Curated snapshots of carefree wanderings, exquisite meals, seaside sunsets, flowing dresses, laughter. Then one image froze me. A group photo with 3 unfamiliar men. One had his arm around Emma's waist. No tags, no context, just the caption. "New friends, timeless vibes." I saved it to a folder on my laptop, my instincts whispering caution. She messaged once that week. "Hey, hope things are okay at home. Just got to Barcelona. It's breathtaking." I didn't respond. 3 weeks later she returned, dropping her bags in the hallway, radiant. "God, it's good to be home," she said. "You wouldn't believe the mess with Italian trains." I stood at the kitchen counter, arms crossed. He paused. "Did you move things around?" "At some point," I said. She leaned in for a kiss, which I evaded. Her lips brushed my cheek instead. Her smile faltered. "Are you mad?" she asked. "No," I said. "You're back. That's what matters, right?" She hesitated. "Okay. I know how it looked, but it wasn't what you think. We just needed a break from routine." "Looks like you made some new friends," I said, eyes narrowing. She froze. "You saw the photos." "Enough," I said. "You weren't wearing your ring." She flinched. "It was safer not to travel like that. I didn't want to draw attention." I stayed silent. She pulled a small trinket from her bag, a Vespa keychain. "Remember how you always talked about visiting Rome?" I set it on the counter, then handed her an envelope. Inside, bank notices separating our accounts, documents showing I'd begun buying out her share of the house, moving service contacts. Her eyes widened. "You're kicking me out," she whispered. "You said you needed space," I replied calmly. "I made sure you have plenty." Tears welled. Over one trip. One choice she made without me. There was no shouting. Just the heavy, suffocating silence of something ending. By the end of the week, she was gone. Emma moved through the house like a guest, packing, leaving small traces behind. My brother, Aaron, arrived quietly with a truck. No words, no questions, just help. I sat on the balcony later that night, whiskey in hand, letting the stillness settle. The house was quieter, but it wasn't empty. It was mine. She had sought freedom across continents. I had found mine without leaving home. Months later, the house sold, accounts cleanly divided, no messy legal battles, no drawn-out arguments. Life returned slowly. Photography classes on Thursdays, early morning runs, small joys that crept back as I stopped pouring myself into someone who wouldn't reciprocate. She might have changed. She might even be dating again. But I didn't need to find out. True letting go had taught me that love isn't about grand gestures or second chances. It's about who stays when it's hard. Emma left to find herself. I stayed and found me. Now I seek steadiness, quiet loyalty, the ones who remain when no one's watching. Emma left to find herself. I stayed and found me. Life moves on in unexpected ways. Sometimes quietly, sometimes painfully. But the moments that break us can also rebuild us, stronger than we ever imagined. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to hear more tales of love, loss, and the strength to move forward.